get a feel for less than 1 month out. How are you guys both feeling? You guys excited? A little nervous? How are the feelings over there for you guys?
Oh, we're so excited. We're so excited. It's a long journey, right? Until you get to that point, you just never know how you're gonna feel. But there's a few things right now that, for me at least, like make me feel, really excited, less nervous, more excited. Performance is really hard to get right on a game like Battlefield. We do a lot of crazy stuff. 64 players, all firing guns, gadgets, the whole thing, like through maybe a single capture point in the middle of a map, destruction, vehicles, scale, like all of that stuff. It's like an engineer's nightmare to make that run like in the frame. And we feel really confident about where we've got to with performance. And we obviously know that's so important to FPS fans, for the shooting experience, for low latency experience. It's just got to be, really, really strong. And it is. I think we got good feedback at open beta. So, we're taking it into the launch period. So sometimes that's a real headache at the end of a big project, but, we're in great shape there. And then I think I mentioned open beta, but, we've been doing the Battlefield Labs test program. We've been kind of showing like very early software to, large part of the audience from pretty early on this project. And that is pretty more nerve-wracking than coming into this launch, because we did that. And, people have seen it. We've had a chance to kind of see how they're playing, observe the telemetry, listen to what they're saying. We took that into reveal and open beta, and obviously we got like a good response, some tough questions too, about what we showed in open beta. And, all of those things have helped us to, craft what we think is, the strongest game, certainly the strongest game for me, recent memory on Battlefield. We're really kind of hyped, pretty bullish about where we are with it. So, hope you like it, but yeah, feeling pretty good.
Yeah, what Jeremy said is like super excited because it's finally out there in players' hands. I just want to see what players do with the all the tools we give them, especially like on a game mode like Conquest. Yeah, the ladders there. Let's see where players go and what they do.
Yeah, and there's so much coming out, and you guys have teased so much as well. When we approach such a big launch like this, that has already garnered a pretty it's pretty well received. I think that's fair to say based on online interactions. What are you guys most excited for? I know that's a loaded question because there's so much going on, but if you could nitpick one thing you're most excited for.
I mean, I'm going to give you a very strange answer. I just thought about this where it's the data. But as developers, right, what I want to see is like I want to see how a million players play the game and then balance it because it's just the start, right? Where it's a live service game. The game is gonna come out. We're gonna look at the data and then start balancing it out. For me, that's like it's still not done. That's how I see it. But it might be a very strange thing. But yeah,
I
as
love the nerdy
developers,
answer. It's not
yeah,
an answer I'm used to.
I think I'm excited to you know it's Battlefield, right? So this is a little bit connected with what Shashank's talking about. You never quite know what's going to happen. We built a lot of this game with something in mind, right? We would put like, oh, let's put a building here. We know there's like a power position overlooking like the sea point on Conquest here, or we know that this is like a big bottleneck for the breakthrough layout. We kind of think like we'll probably go up here. I'd sit up there. I'm talking to Shashank. He's gonna like take a tank through here, and I'll go as engineer like and support him, and then we'll kind of know that we can control the match from there. And it's never quite like that. I would say that especially once our kind of core players get going, they're so skilled. There's people that will put so many hours into the game. We're gonna see something within the first few days of play that we just never saw. And I think that's probably true of like all layouts, all maps. It's the surprises, I think, that make it fun. It's an unpredictable experience, Battlefield, right? It's a dynamic sandbox. So I think I'm excited. I'm excited to see something I've never seen before. And then I guess the
It's
other thing is I've been playing the game a lot. We've put a couple of hours a day in for 3 years, so we've seen a lot of it. We've only seen how we play it, so I think it's going to be fun to just experience it with different people. I find
yeah,
it's like open beta. I was playing open beta for the first weekend, and it's just a totally different experience than playing it, together as developers. Where
it
all we do is look at it and like criticize it. It's just like you get to experience it as the players do, and I think it's a more
yeah, like heat
fun
maps. I'm waiting
experience.
for heat maps with like millions of players.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny, like looking from your guys' side, it's a relatively small sample size, the dev team, and the years and years you guys have put in, but it's still a small sample size to what you said. Millions of players are going to hop on. And I know you guys are known for destructibility, but they're literally going to try and break your game. And you have to try and see, okay, we didn't see them doing this. We didn't expect them to
Yeah.
do this, and then make changes accordingly. You guys are also known for big maps, though. And obviously with Mirak Valley and what we got a tease of, that lives up to it. When it comes to Battlefield 6 maps as a whole, do you feel they live up to the hype of being large scale maps?
I would just frame this because this is obviously a really topical subject, because when we put the open beta out, we actually had quite a bias towards close quarters spaces like urban combat. And for these two maps, Operation Firestorm and Mirak Valley, these are some of the bigger maps in the game. We really wanted to get something out early on this game for open beta. We really wanted it in players' hands as quickly as possible, but we didn't design and build those original maps for the open beta. We built them for the game, and they were the first ones that we built. We built those ones because they were some of the hardest technically to get right. We talked a bit about performance. Like we knew we just wanted performance to be amazing. So it's like, what's our worst case scenario? It's like, okay, cool, urban, close quarters, like big, architectural structures coming apart. Let's do that first. And so then when we came to open beta, we were like, what have we got ready? Like, what can we give to people? And it was that stuff. And so we were a little nervous because it probably wasn't fully representative of the end product, like the package that we'll launch with. So it's been really exciting for us to, this week to show the bigger maps and see how people respond. Battlefield, I think, is many things to many people, and we've had a couple of sessions today where people have talked about, Operation Locker or Operation Metro. These are maps which are exactly, close quarters, meat grinder in, high intensity experiences. But of course, it's also known for the big stuff, for those big scale maps, and we really wanted to be able to bring some of that as well. So I think there's a really nice balance to the package. I think it goes as high as as Battlefield goes. We're obviously experimented with gigantic maps in 2042, and I think here we've got like really nice, like very crafted experiences around large scale, but we also have a mix of different scales across the whole map package. So I feel like it's a very rounded experience. It's very varied, and as you play through the rotation, a collection of modes, or regardless of mode, conquest rotation, it feels really distinct and varied as you sort of cycle from one map to another. So I think we're really happy with it. But obviously we want to see what the audience says on 10th of October. That we'll never know until that point. Like Shashank said, it's more like the start for us than the end. Like we finished building this kind of launch package, but we're really excited about what follows it. And so I guess there's more still to come. But yeah, for sure, really interested to see what people think.
Shashank, got anything on that? Or
I mean, what Jeremy said, I'm very happy with the breadth of the experience, right? Because I think we have something for every kind of player. We have maps which are purely infantry. We have maps which are infantry and tanks. We have maps which is like infantry, tanks, helicopters. And then we have maps which has like infantry, tanks, helicopters, jets. So the beauty with that is, doesn't matter what your play style is, we have something for you. And then on top of that, the game modes as well. So you can have a big map with a small game mode. Oh, that's a completely different thing, because you could play Mirak Valley with Conquest, or you can play Mirak Valley with Domination, and that's a very different experience. So it's just a map mode combination I think it's a massive package. People don't realize we had some numbers. I can't talk about numbers, but it's like if you play every map mode combination, it's going to take hours till you come and repeat the same thing again.
gotcha.
Yeah.
When it comes to Mirak Valley specifically, you guys are calling this Battlefield 6's largest map. Is there any sort of scale like you guys have in the background, like kilometers wide on the map, or I don't know if there's a different
No,
unit you guys
I don't want to
use?
get into numbers because then people latch onto it. I'm just going
Oh,
to say
okay.
it's a really big map, and I know players are going to do it at some point. They're going to measure
Yeah.
stuff. They'll figure it out. So I'll let them do some investigation on their side.
Gotcha. When it comes to these large scale maps, or you guys have talked about a variety of map sizes in general, what is the most challenging part on your side when it comes to designing these large scale maps or even maps in general?
Oh, I can take it, Jeremy.
Yeah, sure.
It's like I've lived this for a couple of years. So I mean, like Jeremy said, every map is challenging. Like a small CQC map is very hard on performance because the density is so high. You have 64 players on a very small footprint, and you have them just destroying everything around them. So that's the main challenge for a small map, where how do you do performant, high quality gameplay? On the other end, when you make a big all-out warfare maps, it's more about how do you make sure that it's a good gameplay for all play types? Because on a small map, it's CQC. It's going to be SMG, shotguns. It's going to be fun. But on a big map, what if just infantry wants to go from A to B? What if the player wants to get in a tank? What if the player is flying a jet? It's multiple experiences on the same play space. That's what makes it extremely complicated. And then it's interaction between them. Or what happens if an infantry meets a tank? What happens if a tank meets a helicopter? And then it's just balloons. And like Jeremy said, you had no idea what's going to happen because there are so many combination and permutations for the synergies between playstyles where it's a helicopter with an engineer inside it, constantly repairing it. How does that play with the infantry on the ground trying to hide from the helicopter? The player goes into a building, the building falls down. What happens next? It's just you have to plan for all scenarios. That's what makes an all-out warfare map like so much more complicated than anything else.
And this is one I was really excited to ask. I don't know how long the answer might be, but what has changed the most about modern map making and design while you've been in the industry?
Oh, wow. I would say two things. This just comes from my head. I'm sure there are more, but one is just production in terms of art. Because the hardware has become so powerful these days, it's just people expect a certain level of fidelity. Photo scanning, realism, VFX, audio, lighting, everything has to be extremely good. So just purely on creating content, it's a big, big venture to make maps like these. And then it's also like players, right? Where games have become so good these days. There are really, really good games out there, and people have a certain level of caliber and expectations where this is what we expect from a AAA game. So when Battlefield comes out, it needs to be like extremely good. So it's the bar just goes higher and higher and higher. So yeah, that's the main thing where what you might think was great 10 years back, if you actually jump into it, you might realize, oh, it's just rose-tinted glasses. It's what I thought was great, but when you jump into it and you see what's happening these days, like in contemporary games, it's very different.
Last
Yeah,
one
I
for you.
think scale and complexity is the thing. There's probably more polys in like a single building in this game than there were in 1942 in like the entire game, characters and everything. Like it just that stuff doesn't come for free. Like it's an exceptionally like time intensive process to put it all together. So I think that's it. But then I think we do a lot in this game that perhaps we haven't done before. So we'll have a lot more destruction, perhaps, or a lot more modes, layouts implemented in the map. I think we placed like a huge burden on these maps in terms of like we want it to be a great conquest layout, but we also want it to be a great breakthrough layout. We want some fun rush gameplay. We'd love to raise our game on domination, king of the hill, SDM. So we're kind of putting layouts in for that. In Operation Firestorm alone, we implemented a breakthrough layout and SDM layouts, which have never been in that map before. So it's good to kind of explore and find out those things. But yeah, like Shashank said, start to finish, play every unique experience, every permutation of map and mode in this game, and it takes like tens of hours to cycle through it all. And so when we're playtesting, often we'll say, hey, where are we with the SDM layout in Operation Firestorm? And it's like, when did we last play that? Played out over 2 hours a day of playtesting, multiple tests from QV teams. It's like sometimes it's a solid week or two before we see the game mode again. So I think it's just the scale of it. We know the audience just wants so many different experiences, so much variety, so many things to do in a modern action game. And so I think that's probably the biggest difference. I think we, back in the first game I think I worked on as a shooter was a game called Black at Criterion. And it's like a campaign experience. There's no multiplayer at all. Honestly, I feel like we probably put that game together in an afternoon now. It's like it took us like a year and a half. Like it's just a different world. So I guess our tools are better, technology is way more advanced, but yeah, definitely, it's an order of
Yeah.
magnitude more complex.
I also like specific getting a bit nerdy now, specifically for Battlefield 6, is like we never make our lives easy. Everything is like going to be, let's make it difficult for ourselves and like let's make destruction and let's make it really, really good. The issue with that is right where the map changes as you play. Right? So it plays a certain way when you start. and then people start destroying it, and it changes. And by the time the game ends, half the map is gone. The problem with that is the gameplay can't get worse, right? The gameplay should be good when it starts, and it should be equally good when it ends. And that is like, I don't think people realize how complicated that is to make sure it's basically three states. We make three maps. The map with pristine, a map in between transition, and the map when it's destroyed. And every time we want to make sure we have enough cover, line of sight blockers. It should be fun. It's extreme, and that takes time. Just
Yeah, I've
that.
always
If we didn't have destruction, life would have been so much easier.
I've always wondered with a game like this, because optimization is always such a hot topic, like how you guys optimize your game and make sure it's performing good on our side of things. It's got to be difficult, you know. It's why it probably takes so long, or at least part of the reason why it takes so long
Oh,
to make
because
the
we have somebody
game.
like Jeremy who's like constantly telling us like make sure it's not below certain FPS. Like it's people like him just hammering this every meeting, like what's happening with performance. Yeah, Jeremy, go for it.
We're really we just knew it was so important, you know, to the audience that like high performing software, low latency shooting experience. It's kind of nothing without that. That's like if you do nothing else, make sure that it runs. And so I think that that's really hard to do. It's particularly hard to do in this game. And so we just beat the team up about it every day, all day. Like I think it probably drove everybody crazy. You know, we do like even the early in the project we'll build like kind of art reference, and it's not even the game, it's like what it's going to look like. You sort of start to visualize that end experience, and we made the team optimize that, you know, on PlayStation 5 because we wanted to know like everybody's just focused always on that. We set like extremely rigorous targets like every day. um and you know there are other reasons for doing that. It meant that we always had something playable. We didn't save our optimization until the end. We were optimizing, you know, throughout. It doesn't usually get easier as you approach the end on these projects, and so we just wanted to ensure we were always in good shape. So we have a really strong engineering team that just did an amazing job of surfacing all of the challenges. But you know, it isn't any one guy, or it's not like we just sort of build what we want and then some guy has to solve the problem. It's like everybody has to know as we go through. You know, you put something in the game and it's too much, you take it out again and figure out a way to get it, you know, get it in at a sort of a lighter weight. So yeah, it's a little bit of magic, I think, but we're really proud of where we got to with performance. It's a big
Yeah,
deal.
it's a lot of back and forth. I mean, it was just recently where I can't get into specific. There's a map, and then one morning I get a report saying what's happened. Like performance has gone really bad. It was fine last week and something has changed. Then we asked the team like, who has submitted something recently? And like, yeah, I did a pass. I did an art pass. Like, what did you do? I just added some trees. And like, how many trees did you add? Like, okay, start removing some trees just to make a performance. So it's constant back and forth where because every team wants to do their own like showcase their talent, right? So the artist wants to like
Mhm.
make a really good art. Destruction wants to add way more destruction. VFX wants to add all the VFX. But then we have gatekeepers who are like, no, you can't do it because it looks amazing, but really bad frame rate. So yeah, it's constant back and forth, tweaking, tuning. Yeah.
That's so interesting. All right, closing question for both of you guys. What are you hoping that people get out of Battlefield 6?
I heard this when we went to reveal. Someone played the game. I think they played a full day, and a friend said, you know, how is it? What do you think? And they just said, yeah, this is it. This is Battlefield. And for me, I think that was like the most exciting thing is I wanted to really feel, you know, like an authentic Battlefield experience, like the next kind of evolution. We talk a lot about Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. You know, this game was very much kind of like starting there. What are some of the features and ideas and inspirations that come out of those, you know, kind of cool modern era grounded experiences? What do they look like on, you know, this generation of hardware? You know, this sort of spec of PC. What does destruction look like in its kind of new form? And that was really exciting to work on, and I hope that people will feel that, you know, that long-term Battlefield fans will love it because it's everything that they kind of hoped for. And you know, new to Battlefield fans will love it because they're discovering like those classic features, you know, classes and squad play, destruction, big scale, 64 player action, all those things which are kind of unique and cool about the experience. They discover it for the first time, but in a really high quality experience.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's let's everybody's a different take on when you ask them what is your favorite battlefield. And what we say is it's usually the first one you play. That's what sticks to you because it's such a such a wild experience. You never played something like this before, and then you jump into, like, for me, it's Battlefield 4. I spent way too much time on that game. And I'm hoping for the new players, like somebody who's never played Battlefield and he jumps into Battlefield 6, and that Battlefield 6 becomes that game for them where in 20 years they can look back fondly, wow, that was that experience. I jumped into it, all this craziness happened. And then also maybe some positivity on Reddit, where if see something nice and not just complaining, that would be a nice thing. So yeah.
Perfect. That was awesome, guys. Thank you both so much. That's all I had for you.